Hi, my name is Penny Zanker, and I'm an international speaker, a best-selling author, and a strategic business coach. And I'm also a focusologist. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I help people to focus on the 20% that gets them 80% of the results. That's focusing on what's most important. And that's not always easy because we have competing priorities and we have situations and circumstances that distract us and get in the way. So I want to share with you today 3 steps that are going to help you to shift your focus away from the problems and towards the solutions so that you can work through those problems faster and challenges and obstacles and reach the goals that you want to reach quicker. And now I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but with the right steps and the right focus, it is going to be easier. So let's take a look. Number 1 is going to be being able to find acceptance. Now, finding acceptance isn't easy. I mean, it's part of any process. Any grief or any circumstances that goes away from what you expected it to be is immediately going to be a stressful situation because you have a mismatch of expectations. And so to work through that, finding acceptance of understanding and appreciating this is where you are. Not see it not worse than it is, and see it not better than it is, but where it is. Being pragmatic and stepping back from the situation to be able to look at all sides and be able to say, what does this mean? And what else does this mean? Helps you to be able to accept the situation for what it is. That's a tool for you, is how do you step back and ask a question like, what does this mean? And the first meaning you give it is going to be more emotional and is probably going to make it worse than it is. So when you say, what else does this mean and what else does this mean, it's going to give you a broader perspective. But even more importantly for finding acceptance, I found for myself was my values and my principles. And there was a principle that I've always held ever since I can remember, which was everything happens for a reason. And it frees me with that principle from having to know why it happens and just to understand that there's a higher purpose and to accept that. So when my father was killed in an accident while he was on vacation with my mom when I was in college, I relied on that principle. And even though it wasn't easy, as I said, to work through that, it did help to make it easier for me because that was an important principle, that everything happens for a reason. And so I could step back and ask that question. And maybe something worse was going to happen to him. So he died instantly versus going through any pain. And maybe there was more pain in his future and he was spared of that. You know, maybe it was this and maybe it was that. And so it helped me to accept it more quickly and to move on. Also there's a poem that's called Reason, Season, Lifetime, and it talks about people coming into our life for a reason to help us with a particular problem or challenge, or us coming into their life for that, or helping us through a particular season. So maybe when you have kids, you're friends with other people that have kids that are the same age and you help each other through the various challenges and times that happen through that. And we see that people do also, they leave our life. They're not as present or for some reason the friendship doesn't work anymore. It falls apart or it goes away. So instead of being upset and hurt by those situations, it's also helped me to use that principle that they were in my life for a reason and to learn what there is to learn from that relationship or that circumstance and take those lessons into my life for a lifetime. So go ahead and check that poem out, Reason, Season, Lifetime. I haven't described it exactly as the poem is, but just to understand that as people come into our lives, because relationships are one of the things that create the most hurt and the most swing of emotions for us. So if we can just remember and accept what that relationship was about, reason, season, or lifetime, it might help us through that challenging time. And that can also be for particular successes and challenges and all of that. There's a lesson to be learned from every experience that we have. And if we focus on that, it helps us to move through it quicker. So let's look at number 2. Number 2 is to connect to a higher purpose. Now, I even mentioned it in reason, having a principle that says that there's a reason for everything. And that's interesting, right? Is because there's a higher purpose. Well, when we connect to a higher purpose, and this could be in your organization, in your company, when you're connecting to what it is that your company stands for and the mission of whose lives you're transforming and changing, that makes a difference. That gives us an extra set of oomph and power behind us. It empowers us. And also because it's not about ourselves. Because when we're focused on ourselves, and especially around a problem, then we tend to stay in the problem and we tend to make it more about us, which creates us as the victim. And well, we're just never going to create the level of success and the possibilities that are open to us if we're in that place of victim. We have to be empowered to be the victor, to be the person who rises above it and becomes the best part of ourselves. And typically that happens when we connect to a higher purpose. People find more happiness when they connect to charities. Or when they're connected to an organization and the people in the organization and what it stands for. We've seen that people have, through studies, that there's a higher level of happiness and satisfaction through that, through job satisfaction. I mean, think about also, we put a man on the moon, and think about all the challenges that we've encountered in that process and how we've overcome those challenges and come up with incredible technological advances because of its pursuit. So we can do amazing things that we didn't even know were possible when we put our heads to it and we connect to a higher purpose. And that's the same for you in your life and your career and your family in every area of your life. When you connect to that higher level of purpose, you don't need to rely on willpower to get something done, for instance. You can rely on the why power. That is way more powerful than willpower. So if you're looking to make a change in your life or to achieve something incredible, connect to a higher purpose. And lastly, number 3 is really putting in place support structures, is having support structures there to support you and keep you on track. I mean, think of them as guardrails. So support structures can be anything from, let's say, a calendar that you're blocking your time. That's a support structure and a process that you put in place so that you can actually book in your calendar the things that are most important. And what that also allows you to do is it allows you to let go of the things that are less important. Because we want to please everybody, and through wanting to please everybody and wanting to manage competing priorities, we find ourselves stuck and overwhelmed. But when we put these guardrails and these structures in place, it helps us to filter out things that don't belong, for us to easier say no to something and get clear that these are the things that make the biggest difference. So, and there's all different types of structure. If you think about it, anything you do, you rely on structure. If you go to the supermarket, you probably have a shopping list. That's structure to make sure that you remember everything that you're there for. If you're cooking in the kitchen, you're going to probably use a recipe. A recipe is going to help you to make that cake or do that thing that you're looking to make that you've never made before. And if you have made it before, then you can deviate from the structure a little bit and you have that level of flexibility because you've gained the nuances that the structure has given you to be able to add some flexibility to that. But you can always fall back on the structure. And every area of your life, you're going to go on a diet, there's a plan, right? End. There's always some structure that supports us in everything that we do. And we're better in doing it when we have that structure because it keeps us on track. So where do you need to put structure in place or filters or support in your environment so that it will better support you in focusing on the things that are most important and block out the things that aren't as important. Block out those distractions, all the noise, so that you can stay focused on the signal. So those are the steps that are going to help you to work through problems quicker, challenges, obstacles. It's going to help you move through it, and it's going to help you to get to your result faster, no matter what it is, whether it's a change in behavior that you're looking for, whether it's a goal in your business, or whether it's something you want to achieve in your relationship or in your health. These 3 areas, these 3 steps are going to help you to move through it more quickly and to stay focused on what's most important. And that's what a focusologist does, is it helps you with those types of strategies that are going to help you at every step of the way so that you can stay focused and stay on track. So I know this is not an easy time. There's a lot of change. And so, the military says that in battle, right, because it's a highly stressful time, we don't rise to the occasion, we fall back on our training. And that's their structure. So, and I always say, in that same context, that under stress, we don't rise to the occasion, we fall back on our thinking. And our thinking is all about focus, where you choose to focus. Are you focused on the problem, or are you focused on the solution? So each one of these steps helps us to shift from focusing on the problem to focusing on the solution. So again, find acceptance, connect to your higher purpose, and create support structures that keep you on track. That's how you're going to be your best self and achieve your goals faster. I'm sending you much love. My name is Penny Zanker, and you can reach me at pennyskeynote.com. I look forward to your success. Stay focused.